Welcome, everyone. I'm pleased to be here today. Some of you, I should say welcome to graduates especially, faculty, friends, the provost is here, Dan's here, Dan's always here. He's the one who carried in the staff. And friends and family, which is pretty phenomenal. I'm looking back here and seeing all these new faces, and with so much, oh, there's a phone call. And you too, we're glad to see you as well. Glad you're here. Yeah. Yeah. This is, those of you new to this, you'll see that it's a little bit formal, like we're wearing all the gear and everything, but it's also, we have our own Tahoe way about this. We lit I just lit a candle, so some of you are probably wondering what that's all about. Like, isn't that a fire hazard in the library or something? I don't know. But we've done this from the very first reading that we ever had. We lit a candle, and from writer to writer, reading to reading, impassioned moment to difficult moment to beautiful moment to delight, joy, the sublime, the profound. Wherever language might take us and wherever we need to be taken, this light has followed us through that journey. So it's the last time during this, this year that we'll light this for you. And tonight at the Two Pines reading, you'll blow it out for the last time. But I guarantee you we will carry on with doing our very best to carry it on your shoulders. You've brought us here, is what I'm saying. So now I'd like to invite our provost, Shannon Beats, to come up here to introduce the next speaker. So Shannon Beats.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here with us today. I find that when I have the opportunity to speak in a room full of writers, your only chance is to be brief. And that's what I'm going to do today. So I just want to say to all our graduates, it's been my absolute pleasure to watch you hone your craft and to share your words with us over the time you've been here at this residency. If one is to become a master of anything in this world, I think to become a master of words and a master of stories is an excellent choice. We live in a time where sometimes people are careless with words. They're careless with where they put them, with what they say, with who they say them to. And I know that all of you know the danger in that because you know the power of words. You know the ability of words to inspire, to incite, and you will go out and wield your power and your mastery over words to create a future that we all want to live in. And I look forward to living in the world that your words create. So thank you, and I look forward to what comes next from all of you. Congratulations on your graduation. It's also my pleasure today to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Dr. Suzanne Roberts is going to come up here and talk with all of us. Suzanne is an incredible travel writer, memoirist, poet. She works across genres. She has a number of incredible books. She's been given some terrific awards and been featured in some excellent publications. But what really warms my heart about Suzanne is how incredible she is as a teacher and as a community member and as someone who has been there as a supporter and a sustainer of this community at Sierra Nevada College from the very beginning. Suzanne, I can't wait to hear what you have to inspire us with today.
So nice to see all of you. Greetings, graduates, current students, fellow faculty, administration, and friends and family. It's a really big day. And I hope that whatever you're feeling today, you know that this is a big win from the universe. As writers, we often face more losses than wins, so celebrate this win. And it might be worth remembering what Epicurus says, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have once was among the things you only hoped for." I can be a little bossy. Everyone's laughing because they know that's true. So delivering a graduation speech enables me to do one of my favorite things, which is to give unsolicited advice, which I will do. But first, I would like to offer my sincere congratulations. And I know I speak for our entire faculty when I say we are all so very proud of you. We have 10 graduates today, 4 in creative nonfiction, 2 in fiction, and 4 in writing for young adults and children, with our first ever graduates who have completed picture books, which got me thinking about my favorite childhood books and the way stories shape our lives from the time we are born, or maybe even before we're born. So I thought about Horton, the elephant who hears a who. Do y'all remember him? Yeah. And I realized that the book is a metaphor for the writing life. Horton has these big ears, and he's the only one in the jungle who can hear the citizens of Whoville, the tiny planet that exists on a speck of dust. Horton is a good listener, and he pays attention. And these are the 2 most important qualities for a writer. As Mary Oliver says, paying attention is our endless and proper work. The quality of your work depends on the ways you pay attention. So Horton agrees to protect the citizens of Whoville, and this isn't easy because the other jungle-dwelling denizens think Horton's crazy. So they become dead set on destroying the speck of dust. The kangaroo splashes it with water, and the eagle flies off with it, dropping it from high above in the sky. And Horton is harassed and ridiculed for trying to save the speck of dust, which contains a world no one else can see. And your stories are like that. They're like a world within a speck of dust. You know your story is there, but no one else can see it. Luckily for you, there are people in your lives who believe in you, even if they can't hear the call of your story the way you can. So I want to take a moment to say thank you to the friends and family in the room and those watching on the live stream. because these are the people who have supported you. You may not understand why they wear wine and coffee stained pajamas for days on end, or sit at the computer talking to themselves, but still you believe in them, and that's what counts. You make it possible for these writers to tell their stories, to create the worlds with their words. As writers, we depend on our people to support us, even when they don't get it. And Horton doesn't get the support, and he knows that unless he can get the others to hear the citizens of Whoville, those tiny whos will be destroyed. So Horton tells the mayor of Whoville that he must get everyone to make noise, but still the other animals can't hear him, not until the mayor finds that one citizen who has remained silent, the little boy named Jojo, who was quietly playing with his yo-yo. Poets, take note, right? You can learn a lot about rhyme and meter from Dr. Seuss, who, as you probably know, Poets is writing an anapestic tetrameter. The poets are like, oh yeah, I know that. Unstressed, unstressed, stressed. Okay. So Jojo adds his voice to the rest and he saves the day. And this too is an allegory for the writer. You may feel like your voice is small and insignificant. You may feel like an imposter some days. But your voice, added to the rest of the voices of human history, amplifies all of those that came before you. You see, there are these voices in the past weaved together through our human history, but in order to keep these voices alive, we must enter the dialogue, adding our own. You have an important job, writers. You must see your work as part of the collective act of storytelling, your very voice, keeping it alive. It isn't just about you, and if you understand this, the rejections you will face come more easily. The world might not be ready for what you're saying, but you must say it anyway. Think of yourself as an employee to your art. The art may fail, but you work for it, so you just have to keep going. In Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert says, you must never expect your writing to support you. It's the other way around. It's your job to support the writing. Look at Horton, facing all of that rejection and humiliation, but he keeps going just the same. He doesn't dwell in self-doubt and insecurity. He never complains, it's just too hard. He gets to work and he knows what needs to be done. The act of writing makes you a writer. I know sometimes in our society, there isn't the same kind of value placed on the writer than, say, the brain surgeon, garbage collector. People know what those people's jobs are. But that means that now more than ever, your stories are important and necessary. After reading the news the other day, I wasn't sure I could get out of bed. It's so easy right now to get overwhelmed. But when you do, the best thing you can do is write your stories. Do the work. I don't care what anyone says, the act of storytelling is always a political act. Horton Hears a Who was written as a political statement in the aftermath of World War II and the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I think we need this message now more than ever. A person is a person, no matter how small. Bertolt Brecht writes, in the dark times, will there be singing? Yes, there will be singing about the dark times. Sometimes we feel like sitting in a room and writing is selfish, but the opposite is true. The world needs our singing. The world needs your songs. Don't get in the way of that. I promise you there's at least one reader who needs your story the way you have needed other stories. E.M. Forster in Passage to India says, only connect. That is the whole of her sermon. Only connect the prose and the passion, and both will be exalted, and human love will be seen at its height. And you know, Horton, he saves Whoville without asking for anything in return. And that makes me think about the ways we must help each other to be good literary citizens. If you're going to be a writer, you are not only obligated to the stories, but the stories from your community. Hold each other up. Celebrate your peers' successes as if they were your own. create a rich intellectual community filled with diverse and interesting people, and the writing life will never be lonely. Don't be jealous. It won't serve you, and it will probably work against you. Be kind, and you'll make less trouble for yourself, giving you more time to write. Only connect. I'm going to leave you with one more thought, and it's something very personal, if that's okay. Though my father was a writer, he wrote me only one letter in his lifetime, and I knew it was an important letter. But shortly after he died, I lost it, and the only thing I could remember from it was that he had said that the wish would find its way. I've torn my house apart so many times looking for that letter, and whenever I wanted something so badly, I would just look for the letter again and not find it, and then tell myself the wish will find its way, though that line so often fell out of context. A couple of months ago, I was putting books into the shelves my husband had recently built me, and out of the book fell this old piece of paper, and as it floated to the ground, I knew what it was. It was the letter I lost 25 years ago. I hadn't seen it since. I put it in a book, told myself I would remember where it was, and I didn't. So I opened it and I read it, and it begins, "Here's a bit of wisdom, or at least a lesson learned from the old man." What I'd forgotten about the letter is that he wrote it to me right after I had been rejected from every MFA program I had applied to. You see, I wanted to be a writer. That was my wish. But I had a pre-med degree and a terrible GPA, and I'd written a personal statement that said something about how I wanted to be a writer, but I wasn't sure why. That's not the way to get into graduate school. No. And as I read my father's letter, I remembered just how devastated I was when I didn't get into a single program. And so the old man's wisdom was this: if one wished-for event doesn't happen, you yourself, with your constant wish, will find other ways, almost unconsciously planned for ways, to make your wish come true. And as I read the letter, I realized that span of 25 years, I needed that to understand what he meant. I needed the eventual doctoral degree, the fulfilling teaching career, the husband who builds me bookshelves, the 6 books, 9 if you count the ones in the drawer, which I do. I needed to accomplish all of it to understand what my dad was saying. I never did earn that MFA degree, but still, as my father had promised, my wish has found its way. In her 1993 Nobel laureate lecture, Toni Morrison says, "We die. That may be the meaning of our lives. But we do language. That may be the measure of our lives." So dear graduates, let language be the measure of your lives. And be like Horton. Don't ever give up. And be like JoJo. Shout your truth from the rooftops. May all of your wishes find their way. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. I think that's a message we all needed to hear. So there's a bit of a formal thing that I have to do here before we get on to acknowledging and conferring your degrees. And that's to read the mandamus. Mr. Director, by the authority vested in me by the Sierra Nevada College Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the ability to grant the degrees to these graduates as printed in the program today and approved by the faculty. Please proceed.
So at this point, we're going to introduce the graduates. And so I'll say the name of the graduate, and the introducer will come up to introduce. Or some of them are remote, so you'll hear them through the speakers here. So the first is Allison Branscombe.
One of the things that struck me when I first met Allison was how incredibly empathetic you are. You are a kind, intelligent, and deep-feeling person, all of which you pour into your work. At times, that has included an unhealthy dose of fear that you weren't doing it all right, and that fear would stop you in your tracks. But listen, my friend, we all fear that we're not doing it right. We all fear that we're running out of time to get it right, but we write anyway. And Allison, you've returned to each piece that has scared you, which means you're doing everything right. In our time together, your final semester, there were times you felt overwhelmed and drained by the emotion brought on by each project. And no wonder. You were not writing about fluffy bunnies and unicorns. Oh no, you dove headfirst into some of the heaviest themes one could write about, through painful and difficult topics that are important to you, with messages of resilience you want children to know and feel for themselves, because you want children to know that they will be okay. Madeline L. Ingalls said, if the book is too difficult for grown-ups, then you write it for children. So keep writing about the difficult things. You will find the sweet spot between truth and fictional truth for children because you are now a master of writing. This does not mean that you're expected to know everything that one could ever know about writing. It doesn't mean you'll always get it right. What it means is that you stuck it out through the emotional roller coaster of a workload most people would never even choose to try. This is what a writer does, to make sense of her world and maybe help others make sense of theirs. Let it always be a reminder to you and everyone else in the room who's ever felt like they weren't getting it right, that they had no idea what they were doing, or that it was just too damn hard. Allison, you did the best thing you could, what you've been doing all your life. You kept going, you kept writing. The end result of your thesis and your work thus far is a tapestry of a life well lived and evidence of much more adventure yet to take. Ladies and gentlemen, Allison Branscombe.
Our next graduate is Daniel Davis.
Hello, I am Pablo Cartaya, and I am the lead faculty of the Writing for Children and Young Adult track. Davis. Daniel Davis is a mascot. Nope, that was not a typo. Mascot. He's also a cheerleader. He did a double back handspring and popped up into a V once in workshop while commenting excitedly on the work of a fellow student and simultaneously giving book recommendations to the rest of the class. It was flawless, Davis. Well done. Best ever. He didn't really do that, but in my mind, he did. He's a champion of his peers and an indelible part of our community. Oh, I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss his contributions in class, his utter commitment to his craft, and how he has embraced the life of the MFA like no other student before him, and dare I say, probably none after. Plus, he got a tattoo on our first class together based on something that I said, so yeah, that's commitment. I've seen Davis from being a clean-shaven sponge of literature and writing to a full-grown beard of a writer, leader and advocate for his community. Seriously, Davis, your beard is the envy of all, especially me who can barely grow a patch. This beard has taken me 2 weeks to grow. My bet is Davis can just will it to grow. Davis's stories carry with them a depth that make you invest in the world he creates and the characters he constructs. They feel real. They bring the rough Irish-American neighborhood to life with beauty and heart. His characters know their landscape. They know how to interact in their world. This is the skill of a great storyteller. One where the setting and the characters negotiate the landscape of the story so naturally. A bar fight in O'Neill's with a bunch of teens and a rival motorcycle gang feels like it happened right outside your window. You are a treasure, Davis. The way you care for those you love is inspiring, from your beloved Sam, who no doubt is beaming, to all your friends and family and teachers that get to be in your orbit. So back to the mascot reference. A mascot is a symbol. Davis, you embody what I hope every student can become while they pursue their MFA. Someone who dives in fully, represents their program proudly, does an occasional backflip, hugs a friend in need, encourages another when they're down, and writes with the spirit of one destined to sell many, many books in the future. I want to leave you with one thought. Eyes up, hand on your heart, tell your story. We'll be waiting. Please welcome Master Daniel Davis.
The next graduate is Rachel James.
All right. She's already crying and I don't have to say anything. Okay. The first time I met Rachel was in my creative nonfiction workshop a couple of summers ago. And I assigned an in-class exercise where I asked students to write into danger, to explore something that scared them about themselves. When I asked for volunteers to share their work, I couldn't believe how courageous all of the work was. But the one that stood out, that still stands out, was Rachel's. She wrote into fear and shame, but not only that, the piece used language in interesting ways. It was lyrical and stunning. It took my breath away, and I was speechless. And for those of you who know me, that doesn't happen very often, the speechless part. When I found my words, I blurted out, "You must read that at tonight's open mic." And she did. And that caused quite a stir among our community, for those of you who remember. And that's what the best writing does. It causes a stir, it makes us uncomfortable, and then it lodges into our brains and our bodies for the rest of our lives. I don't have the natural talent for writing that Rachel does, but I recognize it when I see it. And so that day, I asked if I could speak with her after class. And I don't always do this, because I know some students, it helps them to hear it, and some it doesn't. And I thought for Rachel, it would be helpful. But I sat her down and I said, "I will never tell you this again," which is a lie, because I'm saying it again right now. But I said, "I'm never telling you this again. I'm only saying it once, but you have a true and rare gift, an innate talent. Which doesn't mean you get to sit back and write on it. No, what it means is you have a responsibility to live up to your talent. You must work even harder. That is your obligation. You better use what you have." And I'm here to say, Rachel, you've worked hard, and I'm really proud of you. You're juggling so many things: a big job, family obligations, church and friends, and shopping for flamingo tights. And still you managed to write a beautiful and ambitious thesis project. Parable of a Lost Daughter plays with experimental forms while lyrically exploring the big themes like gender and faith and religion, family dynamics and identity. Rachel, your work is gorgeous, sentence by sentence. And I know if you keep working hard, even if that means sitting on your laptop in the bathroom, on the floor, where your son sleeps next to you, I know you won't just end up with a book, but a dazzling book, many dazzling books. Work that will shine so bright, our eyes will burn with their brilliance. I have been honored to call you my student, and now I am also honored to call you my friend and my colleague, and I can't wait to see what you will do next. Congratulations, Master Rachel Collins James.
next graduate is Julie Chris.
Hi, Julie. Dios mío. Here we are. To say I'm proud would be dismissing the level of care I have for you. Pride it's not enough. It's joy. It's unbridled joy. A journey is never easy. At least the best ones aren't. They take so much out of us, challenge us at every turn, make us doubt in our own abilities and our place in the world, but it also makes us stronger. The type of journey forged in fire is one that cannot be undone. There is a permanence to it that reminds us we have been somewhere. We have fought, we have survived, we have triumphed. Julie, I've seen you go through all of it these last few years. So much. But I've also seen you come through the flames like some kind of frickin' dragon unicorn carrying a litter of baby possums on your back, holding a pet boa constrictor in one hand and a crowd of lions in another screaming, "Roar! Hear me roar!" It brings me immeasurable joy to be standing before you all to talk about Julie M. Chris as a teacher. You know, we get many moments. We get bad, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good. One of my greatest moments has been to witness Julie's ascension from the darkness and onto the mountaintop like a lioness surveying her kingdom. You know what? In my analogy, the lioness is the boss bitch. Julie, your talent will not be wasted. You will write through difficult moments because you have, and the world will be the better for the words you put into it. You have a natural voice that is so hard to teach. One can instantly recognize a Julie M. Chris book. Now, I say Julie M. Chris because apparently there's a Julie Chris out there who writes steamy romance novels. Our Julie, for the record, writes unforgettable animal characters and an impossibly wonderful heroine named Gwendolyn who runs a zoo with her family and has a pet snake who may or may not ever wear a fancy bow. Although, come to think of it, knowing this one over here, I wouldn't be surprised if she's moonlighting as a best-selling romance novelist. Moving right along. Julie, you have a gift. Use it. From now until forever, use that gift to tell the stories you were put on this earth to tell. Animal stories imbued with life and unforgettable situations that are delightful and memorable. And Gwendolyn, you know, is one of my favorite young adult sheroes ever. Your ability for taking feedback is going to be an editor's dream. It is as important as the original work. You take it, you absorb the information, and you disseminate it in a way that is true to your voice and vision. This is the true skill of a master writer. And you have given me the best gift a student could ever give his teacher, her teacher. You have flown. Here's to the next journey. Please welcome Master Julie M. Chris.
Our next master is Marcy Merrill.
The bank swallow is a bird that builds its home by burrowing into the ground, a bird that digs deep to find its place in the world. This bird makes me think of Marcy Merrill. Marcy digs profoundly deep as a writer, as a thinker, as a human committed to facing the world with honesty and integrity and courage. When Marcy entered my life last January, I wasn't prepared for her. She somehow hadn't been on my copy of the workshop roster, hadn't been part of the pre-residency workshop preparation email chain, but she walked into the room on the first day of class and brought a burst of light with her. If you've been around Marcy, you know what I mean. I hadn't been prepared for Marcy, but as soon as I was introduced to her and her workshop submission, I felt as if I had been waiting for her and her glorious novel for a long time. Marcy's novel, The Arbonauts, follows four strangers as they make their way together in the wilderness on a journey toward healing, toward understanding their own inner wildernesses. It's a timely, generous, deeply observant novel, a novel that, even in its unfinished state, has reserved a place on my shelf of life-altering books. Marcy has been clear that writing it has changed her own life. In my revisions, she writes, I'm both seeing and shaping the person I'm becoming, a human who cares and thinks deeply about the injustices against Indigenous peoples, against women, against men. I remain set on a purpose to know as much as I can know, and through fiction, share a story about how to survive a life that's very difficult, to grow from the pain, to help others and the planet. How lucky we are that Marcy, like the bank swallow, digs so deep. In doing so, she makes space for all of us, makes possible a new, more compassionate world. Please join me in congratulating Master Marcy Merrill.
Our next graduate is Gwen Monahan.
Gwen, this is unsafe. This is where you were meant to be. Know that. Own this and let it settle into your bones. I so wish I could be there to see you walk across that stage and claim that degree you've worked so hard for. I've been lucky enough to work with you in a variety of capacities, whether it's a mentoring semester, an editing semester, an elective class, or now in the workshop. We've texted and talked, and I've watched you fight. Like literally fight to put your story on the page. Damn, you've worked and worked and worked. And I'm honored to have been trusted with your journey and given the opportunity to participate in your story through this MFA program. I love the way you described your own writing as working like an accordion, compressing and expanding. And I can't wait to see how it continues to grow and expand. I can't wait to hear the music you put into the world with your words, even if some of those words are about Nickelback. Lynn, you're a goddamn badass, and don't let the prosecution or anyone else ever tell you different. Congratulations.
Our next graduate is Lise Mosel.
Breaking news. Lise Mosel is amazing. Actually, that's not breaking news at all. You know this already. And you may know that Lise has been a TV news anchor and radio host, which makes perfect sense. Her silky, distinctive voice, her effervescent presence, the way she looks you in the eye and listens with all her heart, make her a person you can trust to tell you the latest news, to tell you stories of the world. And how lucky for us that she came here to Sierra Nevada College to focus on telling her own stories. And she has some whoppers. Her memoir, In Progress, What We Keep, unpacks the year she spent caring for her beloved, unconventional aunt during her decline from Alzheimer's disease. And it's a book I can easily envision on the bestseller lists. It's full of humor and finely observed detail, such as her aunt trying to figure out what a thong underwear is. It's also full of heartache and so much heart. Lise can be incredibly hard on herself. She's under the mistaken impression that she's not as interesting as her globe-trotting, Pan Am flight-attending, antiquities-collecting aunt, which isn't true. You were so interesting, Lise. And I fear sometimes Lise doesn't see how amazing she is herself. Breaking news, she's so amazing. So is her writing, which is fresh and vibrant, so vibrant it sings from the page. I think of the scene when Lise is trying to explain Alzheimer's to her aunt. I was surprised to find my lips trembling, she writes. I looked down, searched for more words to slide into my mouth. I wanted them to come out warm and round and clean. Her words on the page are just that, warm and round and clean and so beautiful. In her artist statement, Lise writes, I've come to realize that writing a memoir is a lot like throwing yourself off a stage backward and hoping the crowd will love you enough to catch you before you splat onto the floor. This crowd loves you so much, Lise. We're here to catch you when you launch yourself off that stage, but we know you won't fall. You'll soar. Congratulations, Lise Mosel, Master.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much.
Our next graduate is Katrin Perksland.
Hey, Katrin, look over here. No, over here on your right shoulder. It's me, your angel. Aren't we amazing? Look at us here, graduating. 2 years of reading and writing our heart out, of perfect attendance, and always turning things on time and making our mentors so happy.
Yo, forgetting someone? Over here, on the left. The guy who really matters, your demon. You do remember she's writing a book about a teenage demon, don't you? I'm the star. By the way, Katrin, you should make a scene. Stand up and belch. What's the harm in getting in a little trouble sometimes? Come on. Poke that person next to you. Poke them.
Now you stop that. Don't put those crazy ideas in her head. We have so much more work to do. Graduation isn't the end, it's only the beginning.
What? Jobs? Kids? School? That's not enough? I want to flip some chairs. Flipping chairs sounds fun, right? Let people know who we are and that they can bow to our excellence.
Oh yeah? Flipping chairs is the best you can come up with?
How about I come over there and...
All right. Enough. Are you two finished? We, the mentors, have some things to say here.
And nobody is belching or flipping chairs. Except maybe Ben Bush. And he's in Michigan or Asgard or something.
Katrin, if it's not obvious by now, we clearly have had too much fun with your work. I had the privilege of working with you on 2 stories, the one that inspired this spirited exchange and a middle grade novel. You have a natural voice with both, a knack for quick wit, in dialogue especially, and it was always a pleasure to go through your carefully written, organized, and punctual packets. We joke about your work ethic and dedication, but it's also completely true. You've proved yourself not only serious about your craft, but serious about being a student, and more importantly, serious about being the job of a writer. Writing is oxygen to many of us. Sometimes it's an escape, a dream, pure joy to disappear into. But when it comes down to it, writing is work. It's hard work that's not always enjoyable. It's work that many will not recognize as work, and that you may need to fight for from time to time. Sometimes it's something that we just have to do because it's time to turn it in. The MFA process is meant to give you the tools to go home and write and finish stories, but it's also to prepare you for the hard work that comes along with that, and to give you the confidence that your work is important and worth your time. Tom Hanks just said in his Lifetime Award acceptance speech, showing up on time is one of the greatest liberating acts you can give yourself. He was talking about actors literally showing up on set on time, because it frees you to do your work. It frees you to go there. So whether you're fighting your demon or sipping a latte with your angel, know that all your hard work and dedication has paid off. And as long as you continue to get your butt in the chair, continue to show up, which I have no doubt you will, it is only a matter of time till we see your name in print.
Hey there, Katrin. It is my absolute pleasure to be sharing your introduction. One of the most overlooked and undervalued ingredients for success as a writer is work ethic. Far too often, people think that writing talent alone is enough to maintain a writing career, but it's not. There are lots of talented writers, but talent and a solid professional work ethic, coupled with passion and drive, that is the triumvirate. Those are the things that sooner or later will put your work on the shelf. You, my friend, have those things. You are a talented writer, for sure, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about your work ethic. You came to every elective, every workshop, every packet, pen out and mind open, hungry to learn and eager to do whatever was asked to become a better writer. You tackled every assignment with vigor and enthusiasm, eager to trust me, to trust the process. You accepted every assignment, every exercise, with quiet anticipation of how it might feed your work. You never missed deadlines and did everything that was asked, always ready to rise to the challenge. No excuses, no pushback, nothing short of your very best you could do at the time, every time. That is the mark of the professional. And you did this while juggling children, sports, activities, a marriage, and a family business. Oh, and you still found time to be active in SCBWI and a critique group. I've often been asked about my road to publication, and part of it starts with putting myself in the position to be ready for opportunity when opportunity presents itself. Katrin, you are doing just that. You are on Twitter, following agents and editors, you attend conferences, you have a writing community outside of this writing community. These are the things that all of you sitting out there as MFA students, grads, soon to be grads, or new to the program, these are the things you should all be doing. You want to be successful? You have to be out there in the publishing and writing world, talking, sharing, celebrating, listening, and contributing. The publishing world will not come to you. You must go to it. And finally, Katrin, your egoless, objective, honest approach to your own writing is beyond admirable. If I could bottle it and inject it into every new writer like some crazy dark crystal energy thing, I would. I'd probably also sell it and give you, 15%? Is that fair? Anyway, that approach is going to go a long way for your writing and for your career as a writer. Writing is revision, and revision is easier when you can detach and come to the page from a place of objective honesty. So clearly, Katrin, you are armed with the tools to be successful. Now, you just need to continue the work and believe in yourself. As Master Yoda once told us, do or do not. There is no try. The time for trying is behind you now. Now is the time for doing. Yeah, let's do this. Let's streak through prim. Let's tie Pablo's shoelaces together.
You get out of here. It's time to go get a latte. Katrin Perks-Lamb, congratulations.
And now this is kind of a first because we have Toby Reynolds, who's in that machine right there. He's graduating. So let's all have a hand for Toby Reynolds. Hey, Toby. And the introduction.
I've known Toby Reynolds for so long that the haze of memory prevents me from remembering exactly how long ago it was. Did Toby have hair on his head back then? Did I not have a beard? I can't even remember. What I do know is that we first met in a creative writing classroom at Boise State University. Yes, you're not supposed to pick favorites in a classroom, but there are just those who shine brighter and come prepared and ask good questions and work hard and speak up in class and make the class enjoyable and are kind with their comments, which are usually precise and well thought. Yes, that's Toby. Toby was one of those rare writers. But what I found most interesting about him was in our one-on-one conferences, when I'd learned that despite him shining so brightly in the classroom, he'd actually grown up with challenges, had gone to war, had struggles and doubts and fears. To say that clearer, if Toby had been born with a soul of depth, the woes of life had dug it deeper. If a life of hardship doesn't break you, there's wisdom to be gained, and I understood he was seeking mentorship because he had inside him these shrieking truths that could only be expelled in the form of words on a white page and a story told. He had to find the words. We kept in touch over the years, and I was thrilled when he applied to our program here at Sierra Nevada College. I knew he'd be a tremendous asset to our community. And I was equally thrilled to read his thesis, A Dazzling World of Fantasy Built on the Foundation of All Those Shrieking Truths he wished to express. He'd found the words, and I could not be more proud. And it was no surprise to me that during his thesis defense, he told us on the committee that his main plan, his main intention, was to take everything that he'd learned through his life and his studies and use it to help other people find their voice in the way he had found his own. Toby Reynolds is a kind soul, a fine and dedicated writer whose main goal is only to serve, which makes him not just a writer, but a human I greatly respect and admire. It's with tremendous pleasure that I get to introduce my old friend, my peer, Master of Fine Arts, Toby Reynolds.
And now we have come from Allison Branscombe to Dave Yasuda, our last graduate to come up to the stage.
Hi, Toby.
Dave, it's been an incredible joy to get to know you both as a friend and as a student. I've always appreciated your positive energy, good humor, and generosity. Not to mention your appreciation for good food, good whiskey, and good writing. Pablo said you were like the mayor of Boise, but I kind of feel like you're the mayor of this program, and I wish I could vote you in for another term. It's been incredibly exciting to watch your growth and development as a writer, from that first time I met you in my elective class all the way through this editing semester. I've watched you embrace the entirety of this experience with curiosity, intelligence, and obvious talent. While you may not have had the background in creative writing or literature that some students have, that never stopped you from taking full advantage of all that the SMC MFA has to offer. That never stopped you from giving all of yourself to this experience. You listened, absorbed, and gave back to your classmates, and you became the writer you were meant to become. I can't wait to see your book of essays and recipes on bookstore shelves someday soon. Congratulations, Dave.
And so now I present to you the class of 2020.